Coming to Faith Life Church, we heard a lot of teaching that we never heard of before. Like the reference or the phrase, the kingdom of God was not something that we were familiar with. It was something you read in the Bible, but not necessarily that we thought of it as a structure of laws and principles that you can live by on the earth. So when he started the Power of Rest series, he talked about how it's a different way of living life. You can live life on the earth living in rest. So it was about the second week that he taught that series. That was like, we heard a testimony in there, and I was like, man, I just want to see something happen in our life that we know, that we can tie to, so that was God. Like, that was 100% God. And so it was always, maybe it was James and God, but it was never just, I could tie to and say it was God, and it was God only. So driving home, we're talking about it. I said, you know what, let's believe God for a $10,000 blessing. And if pastor's teaching it, let's just take it and apply it literally. That's what it says in the word. In Malachi 3:10, it talks about how, to try me. And that's the only time that God says to try him is in finances. And I'm like, you know what? It's finances. Let's try him.
We went on vacation, went to Mexico. So we took the time to just really dig into the Word, and we listened to the messages again. I think we listen to them every day. We just spend a lot of time talking about what we're going to do with the money. We had just found out we were pregnant. We're going to have another baby, so we needed an upgrade on our vehicle.
And Pastor also says, believing is seeing. And that went through me for a loop for the longest time. It was like, okay, how is believing is seeing? Because we always look at it as seeing as believing. And he said, until it settles in your spirit that you can see the picture. And sometimes it helps just to put a picture in front of you of what you're looking for. But if not, build the picture that your mind can see it and you believe it. And then you walk it out. And so that's what we were doing, is just taking that and applying it and pretending it as if we had it. By the time we came home from vacation, it was weird. Something had changed. It was almost like I could see it. Like I could see it, but yet it wasn't that it felt like I was any closer to it, but it felt like I could see it. It felt like I knew it was going to happen. Fast forward a few more weeks, Pastor kept teaching, and he kept talking about the double portion. And finally it was like, man, I really think we should just double it up. Why not? If 10,000 is great, 20,000 is better. But it was such a stretch. I was finally able to see the 10,000. I could comprehend of what that would look like. And I was like, well, if we go to 20,000, it's like, man, I just felt like I was starting over.
I thought he was crazy when he said 20,000. I mean, I didn't say anything. I was just like, 20? We can't even do 10. What are we thinking doing, doubling up? He was by the front door. He gave me a hug, kiss, we prayed. And as he's walking out, he goes, double portion, 20,000. And I just said, okay.
My day started just like any other day at work. I, got all my guys busy with projects, and I went to my desk to work on office stuff. And later that morning, one of my clients came in, plopped down on my desk, and started telling me about his past few weeks. He's a farmer, and his fences were in disrepair, and his cows were running out. And he's just telling me all this stuff, and I'm listening kind of one ear, and the other side I'm still working, doing what I need to get done for the day. And finally he got my attention when he said, man, I don't even know if I want cows anymore. He said, right now I want to give them away. And so that's kind of when I stopped and looked and said, okay, this is different. This is not typically a conversation I have. He said, man, I'm telling you, right now I'm going to give them all to you. They're all yours. And I was like, well, I don't know what I'd do with that. I'm a mechanic. I own my own repair shop. I live in town. I have a half acre. I grew up around the farm, but it's been a few years since I've been around cattle. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And just all these thoughts going through my mind. But then all of a sudden there was a thought that was there. It was like, wait, hold on. This is not every day that somebody walks in and says, look, I want to give you a bunch of cows. So I drove out that evening, and as I'm leaving the shop, I call Ella, and I was like, I really think there might be something in here, but I don't even know where to begin with this.
He goes, hey, honey, guess what? I'm like, what? And he's like, remember what we talked about? The double portion, 20,000? He goes, well, a guy just gave me a herd of cows. I'm like, he gave you what? He's like, a guy gave me a herd of cows. I'm like, how many? He's like, 23. He's He's like, some are pregnant, and I think there's a couple horses or something.
So I'm driving, and I remembered that we had a family member that was looking to buy a herd of cows. They're wanting to buy a herd of cows, and I thought, well, maybe there's an option there, we could sell them there. So I get out to the farm, and I realized that his fences were completely in disarray, so these cows were out. And that's when I realized his property butts up against, 14,000 acres of public land. So I was talking to the homeowner there, and he had a little corral there. I said, hey, go ahead and put hay and feed in there. Put hay and feed in there, and let's see if we can't get him to come in. And you just feed them in there for a few days, and if they come in, we'll go ahead and close the corral, and then maybe we can load them up. And so I left that night, and I called a family member and said, look, hey, I want you to come out and look at these cows and see if there's something you're interested in. And I told him that, look, these cows are being given to me, and I'm selling them. And if that's a problem, I'll find a different avenue of selling them. And he said, no, that's okay. He said he was wanting to buy a herd of cows, and he liked to buy them from one farm. So that was, that made sense to him. So I said, do you have an idea of what you'd be willing to pay for them? And we talked a little bit about it, and he said, well, he'd be somewhere around 20,000 for the herd. I kind of did the math real quick in my head. I was like, 23 head, and let's say they average out 1,000 each, and we take some off, then go on the low side and just say, all right, that's less than that. That's close to 20,000. It's like, well, that's close.
And I'm like, really? I got excited. I'm like, wow. We just set that morning, because we were hearing about the double portion. So to me, I just remember immediately going, oh, we weren't receiving it because we weren't believing for the double portion.
Saturday comes around, and we're wanting to haul these cows, and I said, look, you'll buy them, but you also have to help me haul them, because he's got a truck and trailer, and I said, being a mechanic, I don't have that. And so you have to help haul them. And he said, I'll do that. And so we finally managed to get them all on the trailer, and we hauled them and got them over to the family member's farm, and it was an awesome deal for him because he had a herd of cows, Aberdeen Angus cows that he had that, he got, what he was looking for, and he got them for, what he thought was a great deal, and we had our $20,000 check.
It was just great to know that that God hears us, and that we are, that it does work, that what we've been believing for, what are the chances? Cows at work, he works at a mechanic shop. He works behind a desk.
Once we had that check, we had seen the kingdom of God work in a way that it was like there was nothing about us that was involved with that,
right,
other than the work that we need to do to capture it. Yeah. Other than that, I knew it was 100% God. And that really it stretched our minds to the possibilities of what it means to live in the kingdom.
We were convinced.
We were convinced. It was like we had the check. It was something we could go back to and say, look, we know this works. Yeah. Until your life represents the power of rest, you should listen to it. And if you're not sure if your life doesn't look like that yet, then you should go back and listen to it. If your life still doesn't look like that, then go back and listen to it. Because that's the way God designed our lives to be lived. Like to live in rest, that everything we do is from a state of rest, like a state of knowing we're taken care of, that we have peace, that he, that nothing that we need of that he can't provide for us. I knew God was there to help me with the big stuff, but I didn't know that he would be there for all the little stuff. I never heard anyone say that before. I never heard anyone teach that before until I heard Pastor teach that. And then with the Power of Rest series, like that's when he made it plain. Like it was just the way he teaches that series is bottom shelf. Like I got it. And I was like, okay, if that's for anything and everything that we could want and desire, if to have a part of our life, then why not?